This is Operation B, the podcast about living with intention, building what feels true, and dropping the things that don't. A place where purpose meets practice. I'm Jamie Thurber, your host, and together we'll explore how to live with clarity, freedom, and alignment without burning out or losing yourself, because it's time to be who you're meant to be. Let's get into it. This episode of Operation B is brought to you by Premium Kitchen and Bath. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Operation B. We are coming at you from the Trueline Media Group studios. I love this set. It brings me so much joy. If you don't follow us over there, make sure that you go check us out because we have lots of fun sets, lots of fun content, and inspirational content too. So you may find something there that you enjoy. Today, I want to talk to you about something that we all have, and it's called overwhelm. Overwhelming moments when too many things are happening. Before we do that, I want you to know that this episode is brought to you by Spas and More, Premium Kitchen and Bath as well. So check both of those companies out. If you're looking for anything in the pool spa area, saunas, they've got you covered. If you're looking for anything for remodeling or rebuilding kitchens and bathrooms, then Premium Kitchen and Bath are the people that you need. Check out their information below. All right, so you are not overwhelmed. You're overextended. Yep. Now, if you're anything like me, you talk to your robot, or that's what I refer to it as. So I talk to my chat GTP in the evenings, sometimes more often than not, where I'm like, wow, so many things are happening on my plate. Please help me not have a panic attack. And I thought I was weird for doing that until I jokingly brought it up in a couple of conversations, and I've actually never heard a man tell me that he does this, so I don't know if this is just a woman thing. 5 out of 6 women do this with their chat GTP too. So I'm not the only one, so I figured we weren't the only people. Somebody else must be doing this. So I think the concept of overwhelm when we're in the moment is real. So let's explain that. Overwhelm tends to go hand in hand with anxiety, so they tend to feel similar. The other thing that I love about emotions, I love hate it, is that excitement also feels a lot like anxiety. Isn't that fun? Just kidding. So you got to give yourself moments when those feelings come up, you have to stop for a second and be like, wait a minute, which one is this? Am I excited? Okay, let's breathe through that. Let's be excited. That's great. Am I anxious? Okay, what do I need to do? Everybody has their own way, right, of dealing with anxiety. And then is this overwhelm like big picture just in this moment? Do I need to step away for a second? Can I do a quick reset? What is the situation? So I think that we have to start reassessing often when we have those kinds of moments because they are not all the same. So that's where I'm a big advocate, as you guys know, for slowing down just enough to where you can take inventory of what's going on. Once you have a better idea of what's going on, then you can approach it and adjust accordingly. And these are ways that we do life hacking, basically, or habit stacking, whichever one you want to call it, where mindfulness and pauses and things like that become so handy because they're so necessary for us to be able to manage all of the things that are being asked of us. So the overextended piece of the puzzle, I think oftentimes we have this, oh, I'm overwhelmed. And then the next thought is, I'm failing. Overwhelm equals I'm behind, I'm not doing enough, I'm not doing a good job. All of those negative self-talk things typically come right hand in hand, skipping down the road with overwhelm. When there may be a really big chance that you have overextended yourself. I am extremely guilty of this. My robot knows it. They call me out and are like, I think that this is overextended. You're expecting to make X amount of sales on X amount of businesses when you only have 24 hours in a day. And I'm like, oh, okay, you're not wrong. Thank you, robot. In those moments, the robot conversations are helpful because there's not emotion there. Now, granted, I have spent a lot of time teaching my chat GTP to coach me like I coach other people. It is not perfect, but it does help in instances and quick moments where I need reflection, right? Or someone to just take all the things on my list and organize them in the way they need to be done, time sensitive wise, and then move on. Things that are reality about being overextended. You have to look at what responsibilities you have and what capacity you have. Do they match? Are they, and they're not always going to be equal, right? Equal size, but like, how do we look at that? So if you're looking at the responsibility that you're carrying and you have a very small amount of capacity, then what do we need to do here? You can't always unload the responsibility things, right? You can choose to find tools and strategic ways to increase your capacity. So increasing your capacity is something I will tell you, it does not happen overnight. It is something that I have actively been working on for 2+ years, and I have done it. It's just a consistent growth thing that I'm doing. So what does that mean, creating more capacity? It means finding moments of things like putting down the management of other people's emotions, putting down the I have to do everything myself. It can be delegating. It can be putting realistic timelines on things. It can be saying no without an explanation. It can be not feeling like you need to explain every one of the feelings that you're having or the reasons why you're not doing XYZ thing, because you don't always owe someone an explanation. And it takes a lot of energy. So that's an overextension. It's also being realistic about your time. So I haven't done a good old school, operation do, get shit done Jamie thing with you for a while. But if you recall, we would take boxes of time and we would say, okay, we have this, this, and this for today. And so in your brain, you think, I have so much space and time for this. I'm not overextended at all. But there's an hour commute between all three of those places. And then at the end of the day, and you're spending maybe an hour and a half or whatever in each place, at the end of a 9-hour day, you're wondering why you didn't get everything done. Well, if your list was 12 things that needed to be done when you were concentrated and at a desk and being able to type, you didn't have time for that the entire day. So you set yourself up for failure. That's overextension. It's not being realistic about the actual time that you have available. So I tell my clients, and what I do for myself is I look at my week and I plug in all of the must-be's, like where I'm supposed to be. I actually do this with our schedule at the studio as well. The guys know what time the show starts, and then before it, there's an hour block to set up so they know what time they need to be there so that they're on time for the show to start. So in my calendar, after I put in all the appointments, I put in drive time. And it's all in the same color. It's like a muted gray, so it doesn't whatever. But I have, like, if I have to be here for a 9 o'clock meeting at the studio, I'm leaving my house by 8. I have to be. That's that, right? So there's an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. And then when I leave here to go home, I have another 45 minutes to an hour. So if I'm coming here and I'm only here for 1 hour, that's actually 3 hours of my time, realistically. So this is the way we have to look at things. And so, for example, let's go back to actually for a minute, let me teach you a little ChatGTP hack, a little life hack, is if you were to say, oh, here's my schedule, and you took a picture of your planner and you put it in there and said, why do I feel so overwhelmed and like I can't get anything done? And you didn't have drive time in or locations on there, it's going to tell you, oh, maybe you're not managing your time properly because look at all these blocks of time you have available. You have so much space. And that's not true because you didn't give the robot the proper information. That also it happens the other way around when they're like, you're so great, you did all these things, but you didn't tell the robot all the truth. So it doesn't know. Like it can't give you the facts. So then you say, oh yeah, it takes me X amount of time, blah, blah. I want you, Mr. Robot, to learn that I have a 45-minute drive to and from the studio always. I want blah, blah, blah. So then in the following weeks, I put, meeting at studio, the robot knows I have 45 minutes to get there and to get back kind of deal, right? So we can grow these things. Sometimes it's easier for people to put those habits into practice when it feels like they have to explain it to someone or something else. So if that helps you, use it. But those are ways where we can see where we are overextending and not being realistic about the actual timeframes that we have available. So if your to-do list is not getting touched and you're having like 18 meetings per day, something probably needs to change because there's never space for you to actually do said things that come out of the meeting, by the way, and to actually do the things on your to-do list. So no, you're never going to get those things done. Yes, you're going to continue to be behind because you're overextended, which then means you're overwhelmed, right? So another piece of that is so I would call that like lack of structure and versus lack of availability, right? I think that falls into that category. We also have, the common statement of saying yes too much. So that happens to me, or it used to, in my personal life. So I used to feel like I was stupid for only being able to do like one extracurricular activity a week. But that's where my world is. If I have like this week where we're currently in, honestly, like tomorrow is going to be rough, and I know it because I had an event on Saturday. I had 2 full days, an event last night. I have an event tonight. It's just a big week. That's a lot of things for me to do in 1 week. So I'll have a few weeks where I'll have no extracurriculars because I won't be able to. Like I physically will not be able to do it. So with that being said, we have to learn our own limits and choose to say no to things, or only say yes to things that are supportive of what we need to feel good. Because if you're filling your schedule and saying yes to all these places, thinking you're like fulfilling obligations, and within that, you're not holding true to what you need, you're not doing yourself any work or help at all. Like it's such a disservice because then you're giving people also like the least, available part of you. So I think that when we're talking about overextension, because overextension leads to burnout, which does not make you bad at your job, that does not mean that you're weak, does not mean that you're dumb. It does not mean that you're not capable. Overextension is something that we actually have a little more control over than we do overwhelm. Overwhelm is an emotion that we get to based on other things, and understandably so. But overextension is something that we control. And we have to take control of. We have to create boundaries. We have to be able to say, you know what, I have to reclaim this time. So like for me, if I'm on a day where I'm like meetings back to back to back, then I know that by 3 p.m., my brain will be mushy and I won't even be able to have a conversation with Tony that night that makes any sense. And he knows it too. So what do? I communicate that with him. I say, hey, today's a big one. So I'm going to be shot probably tonight. And he's like, okay. And then there's no weird expectations at home that night. He's not like trying to sit down and solve the world's problems with me, on the front porch because he knows that I had a long day. So I proactively communicate that, but I proactively don't get home and have the expectation of myself that I'm going to open my computer and answer all these things because I'm no use to anybody at that point. And then I feel when I used to push myself to do that, I would feel like poor about my performance. I'd feel worried that I said the wrong thing. I wouldn't feel good about how I was handling stuff. Like that equals overwhelm and overextension too. So we have to start recognizing and taking responsibility for what we have control over. So I think that when we can look at our time and reclaim our time, it gives us breathing room. And the last piece that I want you to understand that's so extremely valuable about this is that it does not happen overnight. You don't recognize that you've been overextending, make an adjustment, and then tomorrow or even next week, everything's friggin' peachy keen. Not true. You have to stay true and stay the course. I would say in my experience when I do this, because I go on cycles of this, I would say it's probably it takes me 2 weeks, honestly, to get back to a place where I'm like, okay, I have full control over all these things. I feel really good about it, blah, blah, blah. Typically, I'd say my pattern is I get knocked off of my good spot and get back to feeling overwhelmed or overextended, typically because something beyond my control has happened and caused me to have to veer all of my attention over to be, the keeper of the things. And it's always stuff honestly, most of the time it's stuff with Tony. He got in a car accident or this thing broke or he needed this other thing and I have to do all this stuff. And so I worked out a plan, a promise with myself that when that happens, there are 3 things that have to remain important to me when other big items occur that require our attention. And a lot of the moms that are listening, this happens all the time with you, a kid gets sick or they break their arm or whatever happens. There's a flood in your bathroom. Shit happens that causes you to be disrupted. And if we're not careful, that disruption can go on for a long time. So if we look at it in a way of going, wait a minute, what are the things that we have to stay true to when those disruptions happen? And for me, it's 3 things. One is my body and food intake. So it's like water intake, asleep by 9:30, at least 2 good protein meals, and showers. I know that sounds weird, but like those things keep me going. The other thing is my environment. So my nightstand area, because I like hide in my bed, is like my safe place. It's where I crochet. It's where I relax. It's my like evening place. So my nightstand area, my vanity area, like where I get ready and stuff. And then there's like a space when you first walk in my door. If those are chaotic, like I have a big issue. So keeping that tidied up, which takes me like 2 minutes a day, it's literally not a big deal. But if I don't put intention behind it, it doesn't happen. And then the third one is my communication. So I'm still working on getting better about responding to people with like, hey, I got this. I'll get back to you tomorrow or whatever, because I have that old school mentality of like, I'm only going to sit down and respond to you when I have the capacity to give you the response that you deserve. And so I've decided within myself that I can keep a list and say, okay, here are people I have to reply to, but I let them know I've got this and I'll get back to you in whatever time frame, because those things weigh on me bigger than anything else is my responses to people. And with having 3 companies and 4 teams to talk to and family members and a wedding and all that stuff, like there's a lot of text messages on the daily. And it weighs on me when I don't get back to it. So I've trying to find ways for that not to be something that causes the overextension. And that's just for me. I think how did I get there with finding those 3 areas? I thought about the things that feel the most stabilizing to me, as well as the things that make me feel the most like out of control. And those were the items. So I'm a big advocate of taking care of your body and your sleep so that you can do all the other things. But if you want to end the cycle, you have to add something else in there too. So something to reflect on for you that might be helpful. We're going to end it with that. That was a lot of information. But as always, I appreciate you being here so much. If you'd like to support this show, make sure that you're giving it a thumbs up. Make sure that you're subscribing and sharing it with somebody. We'd also love to see a comment. So even if you say, I'm here, please comment below and let us know, because it's just fun to see. And if you need anything from us, my email is listed below. Please feel free to reach out, and we'll see you next time. I used to think hot tubs were just for fancy vacations or luxury houses. But then I met Angie at Spas and More, this family-owned and operated business right here in St. Louis. She showed me how these master spas aren't just luxurious, they're about wellness. I actually got to try one out in their showroom, and it made me realize how much better I feel after a soak. If you want to experience what actually fits your lifestyle, go see Angie and her team in Sunset Hills. It's like test driving your own wellness. Visit Spas and More in Sunset Hills or online at spasandmorestl.com. Thank you for listening to Operation B, the podcast. To support this message and to support the show, please make sure that you like, follow, and share wherever you enjoy listening. And be sure to leave us a review on iTunes. That's the way to support this message. Thank you for being here, and see you next time.